Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. So, today's little adventure is going to take us across a very fun little site. And I could say that that's why our weather radar is not working. It's because of our location, but we've been asked kindly to get out of Groom Lake and never come back. So, without any further ado, let's hop in one of my favorite airplanes, which today is not working. Well, the weather radar is not working on it. And let's skedaddle on out of here. So, not really familiar with this strip. Let's release our parking brake. Make sure our trim is good. And get on our way. So there has been a lot of mystery surrounding. This is Area 51, and from my understanding is that it's technically still an active base, and there's no civilian personnel besides the people who work there that are allowed on it. And people would say, but there's UFOs, there's this and that. Well, of course there's UFOs here, because for the term of UFO, just means it's an unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean that it's of alien origin. Where's our runway? Gotta be getting close, right? Is this it? Anyhow, just cut across the dirt. It looks like it's up ahead. This cannot be our runway. We'll find it. So, we're just going to kind of bumble and fumble our way to the runway, and one of the reasons I'm taxiing to the runway instead of starting out on the runway today is because, with all of my stammers and stutters, which is an interesting thing, my own stammers and stutters today, is this runway is like X'd out. Like you're not supposed to be using it. Oh well, whatever. For the point of the sim, I guess it really doesn't matter. We'll use the closed runway to get out of here. So, oh look, and both of my engines are working. So, we're using, again, the updated Cessna Skymaster. Since, what are we on? World Update 13? Are we on Sim Update 12 or 13? I'm starting to lose track. And it looks like we got a new sound pack in it. I hope I brought my flaps down. Did I just do a flapless takeoff? I did. No, excuse me. Morning coffee. Dragon's Growl. Alright. So, yes, I guess we weren't supposed to take off from that runway. We were probably supposed to take off from that one. I don't know. So if you were ever a private pilot, I would say you probably don't want to land here. I mean, probably not even in an emergency. So let's get going to where I want to get going to. And I don't know why the weather radar is not working on this all of a sudden. It was working just fine right after they upgraded it. And then World Update, whatever, I think we're on 13 something. One of the ASOA mandatory updates came along, and now the weather radar doesn't work. Everything else seems to work just fine on it, just not the weather radar. So I guess you really don't need it. And it's a shame because Carenado finally updated this plane. They updated the flight dynamics and whatever else. And now we have no weather radar. So, still a great plane. It would be even greater if, you know, we could work out all the bugs. Alrighty, so I don't normally fly this because there's nothing out here. There's literally nothing out here. But it's an interesting flight for the day. And we're just going to take off from here and land at what the sim says is another strip. Which, to be honest with you, I don't think it exists. I think it's just a dry lake bed that we're landing on. Like that dry lake bed runway. So someone would say, will Pony, Area 51 and their UFOs? Yeah, it is. It was, it's actually one of the world's most popular, well-known top secret bases. So, does that really make it top secret? I mean, you can't, right? You can't set foot on this. You can't get near it. I recommend that you don't even try. Just it would be a bad thing for you. And I remember, what was it like? I think it was in 2018, 2019. There was a bunch of knuckleheads that were like they were gonna occupy Area 51, and they can't stop us all, and they stopped. They decided not to do it, and I think some chuckleheads showed up. Yeah, on your list of bad ideas, that would be probably somewhere around number 1, number 2. Anyhow, you can't get near the base. People try all the time. And I guess this kind of goes with my last video, all the conspiracy theories. Well, only the people that work out here know what goes on out here, and they're not talking. And they won't talk, and that's a good thing. And, if you want a job there, go for it. I hear, and this is actually just facts, I hear that the cancer rate is, from some of the people that have worked out there, is just off the charts. So, I mean, it's a job to die for, probably. And some people might say, well, Pony, that's not funny. Well, I'm not joking, one way or the other. And there's actually probably another reason why this area has such a high cancer rate. And we're coming up on it. And some people might say, well, Pony, I don't want to hear about all of this stuff. And it's not... Well, so, I've flown over this a couple of times because you can fly over it in the sim all you like. And so it's using, by the way, I'm not using the Google map graphics. I'm using the standard sim Bing Maps. Nice high wing planes. And there's probably not a whole lot of things living out here. And I would imagine that goes for wildlife too. I mean, I imagine there's wildlife out here. I wouldn't want to eat it. And there are people that work out here. And by the way, just so you know, the site that we're coming up on, you can take a public tour of this. They will put you on a bus and they will drive you around, not Area 51, but this. And trust me, you don't want to wander around out here. So what we're coming up on looks kind of like the surface of the moon, and there's a good reason behind that. So we are coming up here on the Nevada test site, and you'd say, oh, see, I knew they tested the UFOs. No, actually, they tested nuclear weapons out here from, what was the years? It was like from 1950. This is not where they did Bikini Atoll, by the way. From 1951 to 1992 is when this site was active. And they used to do all types of tests here. I forget what time period it was that they had to bury all the bombs underground and, or all the, that's basically what you could call them. All the weapons they were testing out here underground to help minimize fallout, especially as they, increase the damage or the megatons of the warheads and weapons and whatever else they were testing out here. And so it's an interesting place. I can say that I've never been, and you really probably shouldn't spend a whole lot of time out here. You can go and you can visit Sedan Crater, and we can see if we can see it. Which was, I guess it's one of the more well-known, for people who know about this, craters out here. And, I mean, I don't remember the exact specifics on it. I mean, I read up on this once. And can we see it? There it is right there. Yeah, there it is. And so you can actually come out here. Like I said, the Department of Energy will take you out here and take you on a tour. And you can actually go right up to the crater and you could spend some time there. And it's still radioactive, by the way, but, it's within a safe limit to spend a moderate, short, from what I hear, amount of time out there. Then you get back on the bus and you go. And, oh, are we losing engine RPMs? I hope we're not cooking our plane. Oh. We gained altitude. So I'm not paying attention to the flying part. I'm paying attention to the scenery. I really should pay attention to the flying part. I never thinned out my mixture. So, I mean, here you go. So, you got all these wonderful craters out here, and it does. It looks like the surface of the moon. And so, for what? 31 years. They tested nuclear weapons out here. Now, I just want to let you guys know that we're not too far from Las Vegas. And, I thought to myself, well, this is really interesting. Because you have this area, and it's no longer active. This is no longer active. And for a while, in some of the YouTube videos that I watched, there were tourists in Vegas that used to watch the mushroom clouds, in the background when they would do tests. And it was like, people were like, all right. And nobody realized, nobody realized how dangerous some of this stuff was, because we're talking about, at that time, we're talking about the era of duck and cover, which was before my time. They got rid of that, stupid, ridiculous idea of, hey, everybody, why don't you dive under your desk if it's a nuclear war? That'll save you from the blast. And it's like, no, it depends how far you are, and it probably won't. So, anyhow, so the more that we've learned about this, let's actually just kind of show you. So again, this is, like I said, this is the Bing graphics. So this is the actual satellite imagery of, all of these bombs. They just buried them and just tested them and blew them up to say, hey, we got a bunch of scientists that do math who designed the weapon. And through their calculations and through their math, they can have a pretty good idea, right? Because science, right? And math. They should have a pretty good idea of just how much damage it can do, especially, considering how many years after World War II, since the Fat Man and Little Boy were invented, that you could, they should have had a pretty good idea of just exactly how much damage their devices would do before they, decided to stick them in planes and on top of missiles, because there was the Cold War, which apparently has come back. So much for the breath of fresh air on that one. And so the fallout from all of this drifted mainly easterly. So not so much west, but east and south and north of Nevada. And if you remember, there was a huge scare. What was it, like 2010? I think it was, when Japan had the tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear reactor had a meltdown and they couldn't shut down one of the reactors. Now, for nuclear power being safe, and this is not a weapon, this is, nuclear power, and it basically just, spewed, invented radiation into the atmosphere that all traveled, west from Japan. And you could blame the Japanese all you want, and you can also say that, there's slightly a larger investment in this than just Japan, which is, by the way, not allowed to have an army, so, or any form of military other than a self-defense force. So, an accident, again. And so it drifted, and it drifted across, it went up into the atmosphere, and it drifted across into, across the world. And, this is all so that we can have more electricity. So we're talking about fallout here. We're talking about, quite possibly one of the most devastating weapons to mankind that I grew up with as a kid for a while. And then in my, teenage years, there was the fall of the Berlin Wall, and then there was a sense of relief from all of this disappearing. I guess it's, and people may not agree with this. I guess it's kind of unfortunate that the citizens of Russia had to adjust and, suffer from the fall of the Berlin Wall. Their economy plummeted. And, I mean, we don't think about that because they were, the enemy of the U.S. and all this, not really thinking that they were people. And again, I did serve in the U.S. military, and I served in the U.S. military after the Cold War. So I'm not really going to get into the politics of, all of that, because yes, there was a Cold War, and there was a very real threat of annihilation. Which, by the way, just so you know, is back. All right, now where is this airport? So anyhow, the fallout from these tests, and here's the irony that I was getting at before I got so sidetracked with all of this. The irony of this is we quite possibly did more damage to our own soil, our own country, by testing all of these devices for 30 years, than ever was a nuclear attack on U.S. soil. So, with the invention of the internet, which some people today have no recollection of life before it, because there are some people that might even be watching this video that, weren't alive before the internet existed publicly. And I say publicly because that's another story. It did exist, but just wasn't a public entity. And we're just going to get back on path and see if we can find this dirt strip. I know it's a dirt strip because I think I took off from it. So anyhow, so the fallout from these tests probably did more damage. I mean, because as of today, there hasn't been a nuclear war, and you could thank God or whatever you believe for that. There have been close calls, and you can, like I said, there's a plethora of information and misinformation out there on the internet, but you might actually be surprised to find that there have been a few moments in time where it was almost the last day for everybody on Earth, because regardless of what anyone says, surviving this, if you could survive it, life would not be fun. Sorry, everybody. Even if you were to build a shelter and be fortunate enough to survive this, it would not be fun afterwards. So, with that said, and that we continue to, have this mutually assured destruction for whatever reason, we actually, that's the irony of all this, is that we poisoned our own land. And like I said, you can come out here, you can take tours, and they don't let you out here and be exposed to the radiation and stuff for any amount of time that would damage you or hurt you, or they wouldn't let you out here supervised on a field trip, curated by them, which could be interesting, because people don't realize that you get radiation from X-rays and CAT scans and stuff at a very low dose that won't really hurt you. So I'm not trying to scare anybody, and I want to put that out there as a disclaimer for this video, because I do know that there are some people that they're very afraid of all of this, and I guess there's some reason to be concerned about the fact that we can't get along across the globe, and everyone is threatened. Yeah. But people are like, oh, but X-rays and CAT scans and a very low dose, and it's not plutonium, it's not uranium, it's a different process, and it's safe, and it's for medical use to see if they can find the cancer in your body if you might have cancer. So yes, some of the exposures to radiation can be cancer, and there have been people who see our airstrip is just a strip of dirt. So there have been people that lived out here that died. I watched a couple documentary videos. It's very sad. So unless you want to be sad, don't go watch the videos, because they're sad. And it actually turns out that Russia, who did their own tests, at least from one of the videos, that was actually not made by an American. It was made by someone of another nationality. And surprisingly enough, and so I just want to state that, so it's not like we're demonizing the, Russian Federation or Russia. That actually Russia, when they had conducted their tests, and they actually, invented a nuclear warhead that is so scary I don't even want to talk about it. That some of their tests also, poisoned and killed locals. And the effects for years to come, because of the nature of these weapons, could be hundreds, if not thousands of years. So these are not fun toys to play around with. Is basically what I'm saying. But again, it's an interesting thing. Not many people know about it. My understanding is they don't perform tests out here anymore. They haven't since the 90s. Since 92. Oh, it is an actual strip. How nice. So it must have landed somewhere else last time. But I just kind of wanted to share this cool little, landmark with you. And I'm not sure if you can fly over it in real life. But like I said, you wouldn't want to spend too much time on the ground out here. So, just to recap on our flight, Area 51, the top secret base, which is really not that top secret if everybody knows about it, is completely off limits to all non-military personnel and all non-contracted workers. And it's no joke. Don't go there. To just go see if you can test them. Don't do it. It could end badly for you. And as for the Department of Energy, the U.S. Department of Energy that has this site out here, yes, you can look them up, and yes, you can take tests if you're like, hey, I want to go to Vegas and I'm bored, and I didn't just come out here to gamble and see shows and whatever else I want to do in Vegas. I'd like to see some of this stuff. Well, they will take you out here and they will give you a tour. And like I said, I'm sure it's very interesting if you want to see a bunch of craters and holes in the ground and learn about all this stuff. I might do it myself someday. Oh, that's one of our warnings. So let's cut back on our throttle and get our Skymaster with non-working radar, one of my first world problems with the sim, right? Fine! Gears it is. If it will stop making that noise, I will lower my gears. Say, but, well, because I'm coming in all bad. And we'll give it some flaps. So, this is my video for the week. I don't even know if this is an open airstrip. If it's got a bunch of X's on it, it means don't land here. And I just wanted to make this a short video, as I'm sure, like with most of my videos that are never short, right? Yeah, it looks like it's got a bunch of X's on it. Pony, you shouldn't land here if it has X's on it. It means donut land. And not the good type of donut land. That do not land. Yeah, it looks like it's got X's. Well, we'll find out when we get on it. I think I'm seeing X's on this too. Yep. Well, we're committed to it. We're landing on it. Don't do this in real life. And again, after I land, I'll start out with my own personal disclaimer. Let's land right here. Ta-dum. Landing. Awesome. On the closed runway, wherever we are. Just because I wanted to make it a short video. Probably not supposed to be here either. I mean, it's closed, but look at how nice it is. It looks pretty open to me. Can't believe this place is closed. I didn't see a sign. So, it must be okay. I just need to borrow some gas. You know, I'll pay for it. I'm going to borrow it. I just, you know, feeling a little under the weather today. Don't know why. Headaches and... Anyways, that's not too funny. So, there we go. Oh, yeah, my disclaimer. So, my disclaimer is, again, I just want to remind you all that I am a sim pilot, not a real pilot. I do not have a pilot's license in real life, so... any advice you get from any of my videos is really not intended for you to use to fly an actual plane, because I accept no responsibility for what happens to you if you try and fly a real plane outside of a sim. Avionics off, alternator off, battery off. Come on, alternator off. Alternator off, battery off. Thought we fixed all the problems with this PC. And open the door. And you know what? We're actually going to park here for a minute. So, yeah, so, hey everybody, don't use my videos to actually learn how to fly a plane. There may be some information in here that's good. And useful, and I'm glad if some of it's useful for you. But again, yeah, these aren't flying lessons. They're sim flying lessons, if anything at the best. Alright, so here we are. Let's get out and admire our beautiful Cessna Skymaster, which, by the way, this is my own personal Derp Master, too. Let's see. It's not just a Skymaster, it's the Derp Master. And just do our walk around. We're going to sit here and relax. So, there we have it with all my ramblings for this week. And again, this is just kind of an interesting place to come fly around in the sim. You don't need any add-ons for this. I didn't use any add-ons. This is all just stuff that's outright in the sim. I mean, minus my, my livery, which by now, if you've been watching my videos, you'd know that, this one's not available anywhere in a marketplace. So, other than that, just, the stock Carolina Skymaster and the stock Microsoft scenery. And so we took off from Area 51 and we flew over the Nevada test site in the Cessna Skymaster. So I'm just going to end this video with, if you like what you saw here today, whether you agree or disagree with my viewpoints, that really doesn't matter to me. My opinions are my opinions, and we're all entitled to them. If you like what you saw today, feel free to like, share, and subscribe my videos. Love my subscribers. You guys are great. You help motivate me to keep this channel going. Just going to say thank you for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.